Hello anime fans and welcome to my channel Anime Village. So today I am going to talk about what would happen if Cell absorbed the current Android 17 and 18 from Dragon Ball Super. This is going to be an interesting one, so just sit back and enjoy the show. If you like more of these videos, then do like, share and subscribe to my channel. I have divided this video in 4 different scenarios, so let's begin, shall we? Scenario 1, he obtains a godly form, super perfect god. Before we dive into this, let's set a time placement for this theory, shall we? This entire what-if scenario takes place in between the Zen exhibition match between Universe 7 and Universe 9 and the actual Tournament of Power. Super perfect Cell would be brought to Earth instead of Frieza because he can at least be somewhat trusted and is still stronger than a Super Saiyan 2. The most possible and popular scenario to occur if Cell were revived and somehow brought to Earth instead prior to the Tournament of Power is that he somehow absorbs the androids by gaining their trust and stabbing them in the back. If this were to happen, Cell would no doubt receive little power because 18 hadn't trained up until preparation for the tournament and was a mother. But upon absorbing 17, Cell would drastically increase in power and would become a god-tier level fighter. This is personal opinion, but I believe if Cell became god-tier, the boost that both 17 and 18 gave him would place him either as strong as Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black before he fused with Zamasu, and he gained power from pain, or slightly stronger. But he would not be strong enough to fight merged Zamasu. Why I believe this is because of how well 17 put up a fight against Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Yes, Goku was suppressed, but 17 still put up a challenge. If you place all of that strength into Super Perfect Cell and how strong he already was, there's no doubt I could see him powering up to being able to defeat Super Saiyan Ikari Future Trunks and being on par with SSJB Goku and SSJB Vegeta. Now if Cell joined the Universe 7 team and absorbed both of the androids instead of being cooperative and simply working with the team, which I think would actually happen, the Universe 7 team would be down a member because Cell would replace both the androids. The team would consist of Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Master Roshi, Tien, and Cell at this point. I would personally think Yamcha would absolutely have to join the team at this time due to the lack of members and how well he works with the team members. I also think Goku would need to make another trip to the other world in order to bring Frieza onto the team like in the actual show, bring Dabura back from heaven because he became nice after the Buu saga, or even bring Future Trunks back from his future to fight alongside the team. If these 3 fighters don't work, just make Picken canon, am I right? But honestly I think last-minute changes would be needed, and somehow after the tournament ended, Goku, Vegeta, or Gohan, if he achieves a god form in the tournament, would take him out and they all can wish the androids back with the Dragon Balls. It's a weird thought, but I think this is how the universe survival arc/saga would go if Cell simply wouldn't cooperate and he absolutely needed to absorb those androids. Scenario 2, the androids kill him before he absorbs them. There's a second scenario that I believe would happen aside from Cell becoming a god-tier fighter. I believe everything aside from scenario 1 will result in Cell failing to absorb the androids or failing to become strong, but for now let me explain scenario 2. In Dragon Ball Super at the time of the Tournament of Power, Android 17 had been training for many years because he had become a park ranger and dedicated his life to protecting his island from poachers who attempted to hunt down the rare Minotaurus. With nothing to do aside from live with his family and train to fight off these poachers, Android 17 has gotten significantly stronger than when he was in the Cell saga. We see him capable of fighting on par with a slightly nerfed Super Saiyan Blue Goku and even gain the upper hand on Goku at times. 18 on the other hand, while not having the luxury of training for years upon years like her brother, has trained fairly well with Krillin, especially in preparation for the Tournament of Power. 18 had become a mother after the Cell saga, and while she didn't get weaker, she didn't get any stronger either, aside from the rare moments where she fought in the Bu saga. Considering we're talking about Cell, 17, and 18 during the hours before the Tournament of Power, I believe that if Cell were somehow brought back to life with the Dragon Balls or brought to Earth by Goku instead of Frieza, he would need to be really sneaky and condescending in absorbing the androids. If Cell isn't as sneaky or sly as he has to be in order to gain the trust of the androids, 17 would easily be able to disintegrate Cell without a second thought. 18 would have a rough time considering she would still be around the same level of strength if not stronger than Cell at this time, but 17 would utterly obliterate Cell if provoked. Scenario 3. The Z-Fighters kill him before he absorbs the androids. If Android 17 and Android 18 don't catch on to Cell trying to absorb them, I believe one of the other Z-Fighters, Beerus, Whis, or the Supreme Kai would catch on and stop him. Either Beerus would Hakai Cell into oblivion for messing with the fate of the universe, Whis would rewind time to before Cell absorbed them so he could stop Cell, or Goku/Vegeta would blast Cell into nothingness because they're literal gods. One of the Z-Fighters that are stronger than Super Perfect Cell would catch on and put a stop to him. There's not really much else to say on this scenario cause it ties in with the last one. Scenario 4. His body can't handle the power. Remember when Captain Ginyu attempted to steal Goku's body and wasn't able to handle the power within it because his being couldn't control Goku's power, and he was brutally beat down by Vegeta until he was transferred into the body of a frog? I feel like the same would happen to Cell if he managed to absorb the androids and wasn't able to withstand God Ki. No, not the frog part, but I think Cell's body would break down and combust from the massive amount of power that both 17 and 18 combined would have at this point. Perhaps Cell's body wasn't built to handle this high level of power, but you never know. I can just imagine Cell being all proud about reabsorbing the androids only for him to either bloat up and explode or utterly combust from the power within him, killing him. 17's power alone would be a lot for Cell to handle, and adding 18's would just be the icing on the cake if Cell wasn't built to withstand so much power intake. Does Cell need to absorb the androids? In the end, the major question on whether or not Cell needs to absorb the androids or not is still on the table. I personally believe that he wouldn't need to. Simply because it's a hassle and would be tough to accomplish. Don't get me wrong, I think having a god-tier Cell would be awesome because he's my favorite villain and I would want to see him return over Frieza. However, I think he'd be perfectly fine even without absorbing them. He may even earn a chance to redeem himself amongst the androids and Z-Fighters by cooperating with them. I assume that after being destroyed by Gohan and being sent to Hell, Cell held on to the level of power that he had died with, so he was still super perfect when in Hell. When Cell returned to Earth after Goku's death, we see him in his super perfect form, which is even stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and proved to be an immense threat after absorbing the Saiyan's genetics. He was still in a perfect form despite having spat Android 18 out. How is that possible? I believe it's due to how high his power is. The only way he would be able to keep on to the super perfect power would be staying in his strongest form. So obviously he doesn't need to absorb the androids beyond that point. He had already achieved perfection and would be useful because he's stronger than a Super Saiyan 2. While I don't believe Cell would need to absorb the androids because he's still relatively powerful in his super perfect form, Cell would most likely aim for higher power to truly be perfect if given a chance. This includes aiming for the realm of the gods. Take the picture up above for example. Cell is capable of transforming into a god-tier being if he absorbs the androids or if he is simply given time to train. He is a mixture of Saiyan and Frieza genes after all. While absorbing the androids would allow him to reach higher levels of strength faster, I believe Cell doesn't need it because he could either train to get stronger, or maybe he's already perfect just the way he is. Conclusion: with all of that being said, my blog about Cell absorbing the DBS androids has come to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. How strong do you believe Cell would be if he absorbed both of the current androids in Dragon Ball Super? Which if the scenarios up above make the most sense and if none of them do, what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. Thank you all for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for even more such videos in the future. Anime Village out.